Hey good people, welcome back to my home, to my window seat, and to Sundays. I'm going to start off by saying that it's been a couple of weeks since a video was done. I haven't done one since Montana, and there's a very good reason for that. It's been a pretty heavy couple of weeks. It seemed like as soon as I got back, we started working and just haven't really stopped. This is the first Sunday where I have nothing to do, maybe edit some photos, but it's also been heavy emotionally. Getting back to work brought in a lot that I haven't really had to deal with for a while. So it's kind of what is on my mind to talk about today. Sorry, FG. I had a lot of parts coming up for me this past couple of weeks. I've not had the energy to sit down and process them and spend time with those parts and figure out those feelings. So that's why I haven't made a video. But the big recurring theme, I mean, it's been a bunch of different situations, but the big recurring theme has been one, first of feeling very angry in a lot of situations. And with that anger, almost always came a feeling of defeat, a feeling of inadequacy, feeling like I just wanted to burn my life to the ground and start all over again, doing something else. And I don't actually want that. So it takes sitting down and figuring out where those feelings are coming from, why those feelings are there, because I definitely haven't worked as hard as I have to get where I am, just to like throw my hands up now. You know, everything's too good. I hired a couple of people in my office, or hired one, brought another on full time, so things there are actually really stable and I have help, which is a great thing. So why am I feeling defeated? Like I don't want, like I'm not good enough to continue. So those feelings came about pretty much from the start. We had a couple of situations at work that just really challenging to communicate during, challenging because some things had to be redone. What we did didn't really match certain people's expectations, and so it really wasn't a matter of subpar quality or subpar service. It was just kind of expectation and preference. But you know, I put my heart and soul into what I do, and I challenge anyone to find someone who cares more than I do about doing a good job, who has higher standards for themselves, for quality and service. So when I get pushback, when I get kind of an immediate, swift rejection of something that we've done, it really affects me. And the very first thing that comes up for me is anger. I just feel very angry at maybe person or situation, at myself for not doing a good enough job or anticipating something that I probably could have in my mind. I think that. And I've since started realizing this, but whenever that anger surfaces for me, I pretty immediately push it down and I don't express it really at all. Definitely, I don't know how. I haven't known how to express that I'm angry in a healthy way. And so when I start suppressing those feelings of anger and frustration and not spending time with them, not accepting them, not validating them, then a whole lot of guilt comes in. I have a really difficult relationship with guilt. And then those feelings of inadequacy start coming in, and it's just a cycle. It is just this spiral downwards, with all of these things kind of on loop. And I can interject logic and reason and say, like, that's unreasonable for you to think that, Josh. Look how far you've come, look at what you do, look at how many people you do make happy doing this. But those things, like that logic doesn't work. It really doesn't work. It doesn't help me. get through the situation any better, feel better, process better. And I've realized a couple of things through that. We talked about them in therapy, and I've been spending a lot of time thinking about them myself. The anger part is triggered when someone or a situation proves to me like somebody doesn't like what I'm doing. And I know where that comes from. That comes from me putting all of my self-worth in how useful I can be to somebody else and whether they approve of what I'm doing. And that's not necessarily the healthiest way to think, but it is what I do. And I believe I learned that very young, that you have to earn love, and that love is somewhat conditional. And so the anger is triggered by that. I put so much of myself into whatever the situation is, and then you don't accept it. You don't love me for it. And I don't know how to express anger in a healthy way. I don't even know what that looks like. I can't even give you an example of what a positive way, because it just doesn't compute in my head. I believe it looks something like, dang it, this situation frustrates the living crap out of me. I'm still great, but this is very frustrating. I don't know. But I was talking in therapy, and my therapist pointed out to me that it's very possible that the same conditions that caused me to, or that I learned that love is conditional and it must be earned, could have also contributed to my failure to be able to express anger in a healthy way. Because I push those feelings down. I feel like they are not healthy. I feel like bad things will come from being angry, just being angry. So I try to not be angry. I try to be calm. I try to be logical. I try to be level-headed. And when I'm dealing with somebody else, that typically works out okay, but you can't lie to you can't lie to yourself like that. And I do. So I get stuck in this cycle of trying to suppress those feelings and not be angry, but really needing to express what this part feels, because this part is coming from a place of deep rejection, not just rejection because somebody didn't care for the work product that I put out, but deep rejection. Somebody doesn't like me because I wasn't good enough to put a smile on their face with my work. That's where that comes from. It's not accurate, but it's where that comes from. And that part I've learned is really, really strong, which makes me think it's a really, really young part. That part takes over. It's not even like, oh, I noticed these feelings are coming up for me, but they're manageable. Nope, it just, in my analogy of this body being a company and I'm supposed to be the CEO and these parts being like board members, this board member comes, sits in the chair and doesn't move. Takes over the company, all right? And I have a physical reaction to it. I sleep less, I stress more, I'm more tired, and it's just on a constant loop in my head. And it's a really, really hard cycle to break out of, which is why I'm glad that I go to therapy weekly, because that definitely helps me break out of those cycles when they linger. So yeah, I can't tell you that my thoughts are super clear on this at the moment. I would love to be able to say like, this is a sitcom episode and I realized this and I've begun working on it and I'm just a transformed person. But in reality, that's not true. I am pretty lost in that regard when it comes to how do you get out of that cycle? How do you break out of that loop? I think one of the ways that I can start doing that is to give that anger, those feelings of frustration and anger, space to be. Expressing them when they need to be expressed in a way that doesn't hurt anyone or me, but expressing them, in the way that they need to be expressed. I am angry for this. And looking within and saying, okay, you're angry about the situation, but what triggered this type of response. Um, because when I was a kid, I wasn't really given that space to express that anger. And the people in my life that were that were allowed to express their anger expressed it in some pretty intense and volatile ways. And I feel like when you're young and learning what life is and the world is, and you see that, like, I can't or don't do that, and when this person does, it's terrible. It sends a pretty clear message, and that's got to be something that you carry through in life, and well into adulthood. I see it in myself. I see how these things are connected, past and present. Getting out of that cycle that I've been in the past couple of weeks, due to those situations at work, looks like for me just saying, all right, I see this. I see you part. I see why you're here, why you feel like you need to be here, taking over the system, protecting self. I see why you interpreted this situation as an attack on us, on self. And I'm glad you're here. That's great. You've protected me in the past. You've helped me through very difficult situations. By not really giving myself this, the expression of anger, a lot of times I don't escalate situations. I can diffuse a situation more often because I don't react. I'm not a very reactionary person in anger. But also, the flip side of that is I suppress a lot, and that isn't super healthy for me in here. It may be okay for the rest of the world, the people around me, but it's not okay in here. And that kind of plays into some auxiliary parts that have come in the past couple of weeks, just regarding like my worth and how much I sacrifice to try to appease others. I heard a quote recently, or saw a quote recently, you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. And sometimes I think I'm really guilty of that, which is why it hurts so much and I get so angry when that effort and energy is rejected or is not accepted the way I think it should be accepted. Yeah. It's been a very eventful couple of weeks, but I'm really, really thankful that I have great friends who will spend some time with me through all of that, and I'm really grateful that I have a team at work who recognizes some of those things when they happen, and helps us all get through it to our goal. I feel like we really are a team, and that's really cool. It's the first time I've ever experienced like an office culture under my own banner, under my own name, something that I helped create. Hiring the people, putting in the processes that lend to the culture, and it's really cool. So, sorry I missed a couple of weeks. I really felt guilty about it the first week, and then I had a little conversation with self, and I reminded myself that when I started this thing, I promised that it belonged to me. This is for me. I'm sharing it out loud because sometimes we heal publicly, so the people healing privately have some strength to keep going, which is also a quote that I saw this week that I really liked. But I told myself, this belongs to you. It is what you need it to be when you need it to be it. And for the past couple of weeks, I haven't needed it to be. It was just something else that was stressing me out that I had to get done. And I didn't feel like I would be able to, even if I sat down and tried. That's not really an apology, just an observation. Give yourself permission to not do something sometimes, especially when you really, really can't. I heard this song on TikTok, and it's called Runaway to Mars by Talk, T-A-L-K. It's this guy. I've seen a ton of different outfits that he wears while he's singing the song. I think he blew up on TikTok, but it's so good. I'm not even going to try to describe it. I'm just going to put it on the playlist. It's already on the playlist. Go listen to it. It's super, super fun. And this guy has an amazing voice, and I hope he gets big and writes more and more and more things. Um, fully intend to make another video next week. I hope I can. I'm really trying to put these practices of taking some time each week just for me. Like, no work, no distractions, no people, just one-on-one here. And give myself some time to process all of the things that seem to crop up. We're in this together, and I thank you for being on this journey with me. I'll see you next week.